Hey, welcome back to That's What He Said. I'm your host, Natalie, and this is a podcast about dating. Before you watch, make sure you subscribe, follow, like, comment, rate, review, and share the show. Let's find out what he said.
Let's start by just kind of like why you're here today. Like, what made you want to come forward and tell your story, and what is kind of your goal in doing this?
So basically, I mean, I've been silent for so long. It was a very traumatic experience. Realized I had an issue through it. Basically, I wanted to find the right time. Also wanted to like talk to get that out of the way. Clearly, I didn't talk to her for a long time, and there was reasons behind it. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like I was sitting in a corner for so long, just taking punches, and like enough was enough. I know I don't know anybody in explanation, but it's something I want to do. Address a lot of things because there's a lot of things that were true, and I want to take accountability for that. But there's a lot of things that weren't true that I also want to clear up. So basically, this is just like an accountability and where I'm at today.
Yeah, just kind of air out the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell us what happened. Start from the beginning.
So I mean, I didn't see the podcast, but that night we got into an argument, and I went to an after party with somewhere I shouldn't have been. I knew that, and yeah, I mean, I made horrible decisions. Honestly, the story of what she said was true. But one thing I did want to clear up is that the way she kind of worded it all, saying that I was hooking up with a chick and there's pictures of me naked with her to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a picture, and it's all of us in the pool, skinny dipping. But I was not hooking up with a chick. I did not hook up with a chick or anything like that. And it's crazy because like when all this came out, I didn't even know the girls' names or anything. So I tried to go like research it, reach out, talk to them, and say like, what the heck.
Mm-hmm.
But I was blocked from every single one of them.
The girls that were there at
The girls
party.
that were there,
Okay.
the ones that were DMing and doing all this stuff, and they even told like, I'm not going to tell you my name, I'm not going to tell you anything, but this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, all that happened was, I mean, we were all there. Bottom line, I shouldn't have been there. I should have left. I handled it poorly. Should have never did that. Then a friend came to pick up the girls. Girls didn't want to leave. The friend's like, come on, y'all are going. Obviously, the other guys that were there with me were like, come on, stop being a party pooper, like all this stuff.
Yeah, peer pressure.
Yeah, pretty much. And the girl was just not having it. She was in a bad mood. And then she stops and like looks at me and she's like, don't you have a girlfriend? And I was like, yeah. And someone snapped a picture, and so that's how it all came about. So then the DMs, everything, I told I lied to in that moment for sure. And yeah, I mean, I owned up. I should have just left, honestly. Yeah, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then it all just kind of went to channels.
You said the whole, like, you didn't hook up with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what was told to her in the DMs, or at least what was said on the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
was that, like, there was a girl there, or one of the girls who was DMing her said that y'all had tried to hook up, like, more than once. Like,
So
in
that's
a
what I was
bar
wondering.
bathroom or something like that.
Oh, okay. So all this
There was
stuff happened.
multiple bathrooms involved, and I was like, are we
Yes.
16 again?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
So this was. So I'll go back to this. So like we met after I had already filmed Perfect Match. So a lot of people think that I was filming, that I was with
okay.
her when I left to film Perfect Match. I met her when I got back. We met at White Linen.
Really?
Yeah, we met at White Linen.
Okay.
And
That's
I left a
confusing
week
to
later.
like, because the timing, I guess they can air stuff whenever.
Yeah, so
'cause they
usually
were so
shows
far
are aired
apart.
like a year to a year and a half later.
Okay.
So a lot of people, like I would get a lot of backlash, like, oh, you go on a dating show while you have a girlfriend, like stuff like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I would not do that.
Okay. Because I definitely thought that.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that in, like, to people if you don't know. But yeah, this film was filmed. So I left. I met her, and we just met. We hung out White Linen, and I was like, I really, want to like take you out on a date or whatever. Cool. We go on the date next week, which was at our date. I don't know if you know that story.
Yeah.
So
that was on the podcast too.
Yeah,
that whole
so
story, which is honestly really funny.
you would have thought it was scripted. Honestly.
I know.
But then it was cool. Like, we were nothing. We only hung out one time. I mean, obviously, like, we liked each other, but it was nothing serious yet. Like, we didn't think anything. We didn't take it serious. She was like, cool, like, go do your thing, have fun. Like, if we hang out when you get back, we hang out. And clearly I didn't match with anybody. And when we got back, like, we hit it off and we started dating. So we become official. And this is, like, what's really hard, because I've obviously witnessed it. Like, when you date somebody in the reality world, like, it's not for the weak.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how she does it. She was so patient.
I couldn't have. I would have been like,
yeah, like,
we had a good date. Goodbye.
yeah, like, she's so patient in the sense of, girls come up to me left and right for pictures. I mean, guys too.
Yeah.
People have no respect when we were on dates and dinner. They'll just, like, throw their phone out and be like, take a picture of us. Like, and she was so patient, but, like, also with that comes just, like, the outlandish DMs of the most random girls that I've never even met in my life of, he's going to fly out to see me, like, this weekend, but, like, I was with her out of town with her family.
Really?
Yeah, he's supposed to be flying me in. He's sending me pics. I'm in the bathroom. Like, I've gotten crazy. She's gotten a lot. And, like, so I think for me, which I understand, she was hurt. She saw red. Like, I don't blame her. Do I agree with how she went about everything? Absolutely not. Like, and we can get into that. But at this point, I think she was just trying to do any possible thing to tear me down. So she started snapshotting all these random messages that she has gotten through the year that we were dating and started just posting them left and right. And, like, she just would not stop.
I wonder if she actually did believe, like, that DM about, like, hooking up in it. She seemed like she was, I mean, it's hard to tell, but
I mean, and considering what happened and what I had did, I would understand why you would.
It would
believe
make it
that.
easy to believe something like that. Yeah.
But it's crazy because, like, when we started dating and the shows came out, because I met her when I got back from filming Perfect Match. Love Is Blind aired 3 weeks later, and she was with me through the whole airing process, like, everything. She was with me, when I went through my ups and the downs and the emotional trauma from just being on TV.
Yeah.
So I did my best to, like, make it very well known that I was in a relationship. That was my way of giving reassurance to her. Like, I didn't want to not post her. I wanted to, show her, like, hey, I'm with you. I'm proud to be with you. For people to kind of back off, although people just have no respect sometimes and won't. But I felt like I tried every way possible, for the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah. But you did not, like, actually cheat on her. I mean, unless you consider, like, skinny dipping.
So,
cheating.
I mean, skinny dipping,
it's obviously, like, crossing a boundary.
yeah, and I won't.
People.
I have done things in moments, and what happened, and what led me to do these things. Like, I have interacted. I've never done anything physically, but I have interacted in moments because through our relationship, like, every couple we didn't have, we had our times, you know what I mean, and there was a lot of inappropriate things that she had did through the first half of our relationship, not to the extent of cheating, but there was a lot of things that did happen and mistakes were made that for me just built up a lot of resentment. And if there was one thing I can go back and do differently, was to have done, like, couples therapy then to overcome the resentment, because it just got to a point where I would always turn to alcohol. Arguments would always happen because of alcohol, and I would end up being heated and leaving, and space was I would just go meet my friends at the bar, get extremely blackout, and just make poor decisions.
Yeah.
Like, and if I could go back and change everything, I wish I would have just fixed that, because I still had so much resentment built up that I couldn't let go because we never really resolved. That like stuck with me, you know.
Mm. So
And
it's
I made
almost like
mistakes.
sort of like a domino effect kept happening in the relationship to lead up to the
Where it was, yeah.
situation.
Yeah. So I never physically cheated with somebody. Skinny dipping, unacceptable. Like, bottom line, I shouldn't even have been at an after party. Like,
Yeah.
you know, at this point, was 31 years old at that time. Like, what am I doing staying up till 6, 7 in the morning at an after party?
How do you even do that? I'm too old.
It's just a lot. But bottom line, like, I shouldn't have been there. I should have just went home and I did what I did, you know what I mean? And I regret it so much. Like, I feel horrible for what I've done. And I've expressed that to her. Like, we finally have talked. And I held myself accountable, and we like dished it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's kind of been your reaction to all of her actions? So like the post on the social media or on it was just on Instagram, right?
Oh, it was Instagram,
like,
TikTok. Yeah.
Teaming up with your ex-fiance. I mean, posting the TikTok reels or the reels and the TikToks. I sound old. And then doing the podcast, obviously. How did that affect you?
Oh man, it literally ruined my life in that moment. Like, I know there's people who have bigger issues, but like being in the public eye, for someone to do that, I didn't agree with it. I was honestly in shock that she did that. It blew my mind because she's not. When I met her before we even started dating to even when we were dating, she wasn't like a huge social media person. You know, she didn't really care, didn't really like go out of her way to do anything like that. So when I saw that, I thought it was immature. I was really disappointed. I was in shock. I was terrified at this point. And I spiraled.
What were you terrified of?
I was terrified to reach out to her because I didn't know what she was going to do. Like, at this point, I'm like, you're trying to air out all my laundry. In my opinion, and as adults, and I think that's what affected me so much, because like, I can sit here and talk about TV and what's been on TV. It's what I signed up for. I can talk about my relationships there, but this was like my personal life.
Right.
And I'm trying to get back to normal. So when she did that, I just felt very betrayed, very used. I mean, I'm still processing it till today. Like, it's hard. I don't know. In my head, I'm like, what do you gain from this? You know, like.
I asked myself that question, like, what was the purpose? And I could empathize with like wanting to share your story when you're in pain like that. Like, I have certainly done that on my podcast, but no one knows who those people are that I've spoken about. Like, when I've told my story, like I did a whole episode on a guy who ghosted me like severely, traumatically, but no one knows who he is other than my close friends who knew the story anyway.
Yeah.
So I would say there's a difference. Like you mentioned, being in the public eye, like that's kind of maliciously, in my opinion, causing like catastrophic damage to your life, and almost like asking the world to like attack you, because you know that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. But then in that moment, because like.
But I do empathize with wanting to like.
Yeah, like I feel for her.
Especially when you got cheated on, like you're pissed and you're just like seeing red and you're just so overflowed with emotion that it's like you're really not gonna act rationally.
Yeah.
So I see both sides.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, I see a lot of her side of it. I'm like, all right, I get it. The one post, I took it. Like, all right, like you got me. Like, it's out there. But the continuing on after is what really messed me up. Because at that point, I'm like, why? Like, why are you continue? Like, we get it. You put it out there. I would have rather her came and, you know, went off about me to her friends, to her family, to me. I would have answered the phone call and heard you out, you know, bitch me out all you want.
Yeah.
But like to do it the way you did it, or the way she did it, yeah, that was extremely unexpected. That hurt. That I've never been at the lowest point in my life to where I was suicidal one day. And, you know, I thought it was done. Like, it was, and this is how my mindset was. I was like, all right, you got to live with yourself now. Like, you fucked up. And, you know, that's hard. You just lost the love of your life. Probably the best thing to ever happen to me because it's amazing. And so I'm like dealing with that. And I thought it was done. Then her and end up making that TikTok. And
So you were already feeling suicidal before the TikTok.
yeah, because like everyone is just coming at me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I felt so alone, and like I couldn't talk to my friend. I mean, I could
You're
talk to my
also
friend.
going through a breakup
Yeah.
with someone you were really serious with. Like,
Yeah.
don't forget that, which is obviously emotionally like destructive.
Yeah. So I was like dealing the breakup. So for a while I was dealing with just like anger and confusion out of the post. And then I was like, okay, that's done with. Time's passing. I'm like, all right, social media. Like I've gone through people bashing me. And now it's like my breakup and I'm devastated, you know? And then immediately the next day, I see her and meet up together. And I didn't even know because I blocked from everything because I'm just like a no contact person.
Mm-hmm.
I needed time to process. I wanted to reach out to her before that post. Like I wanted us to talk. I let the situation breathe a little bit. I knew she was seeing red. I knew like right now it just wasn't a good time. I'm going to let her process. I gave it a couple of days. And then I did, I think, a Q&A or something. And I said I was hammered when I did it. I think it was like late at night. And I was answering
Q&A on, like on your story?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I had made a comment of like being single, jokingly sliding the DMs. You know what I mean? Because we had already broken up. I thought we were broken up.
Because that was mentioned on the podcast. Was that you? Well, I think they said you went on Instagram Live and said like I'm single.
I honestly
my
can't.
DMs.
I don't know if it was a live or a Q&A because I was pissed drunk.
Yeah.
Either way, it was out there.
Yeah.
And so apparently, I mean, it got to. I think I ended up hopping on. I got off really quick, or I deleted it. I'd have to check through my photos because it would probably be saved in there. Anyways, I was done with it. So then after that, I think that's what she said. She went public and made that post. So then I was like, all right, I'm leaving it. Then I see her make that TikTok with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the? Where are you coming from? What do you have to do with this? You know what I mean? I was like in shock. And
yeah, I can't. That would be such a curveball. Like I'd be like, what?
So there was like a coming soon that they left or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when I just like I got pissed. I was like, the breakup. Like shove that to the side. Now I'm like, now I got to protect myself. Like, what are you going to do to me now? I don't know what you're going to do to me. And I know exactly how it is. And it's pretty on her end that you go to someone you don't even ever talk to in the most vulnerable time for them to latch on and try to act like a girl's girl to use her for clout. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to latch onto a situation that has absolutely nothing to do with you. Like, you come out of nowhere.
So do you know, did she reach out to or do you know how that even transpired?
I think she made this pity post of like, I really don't know, but something along the lines like, my heart goes out to her. This is why I told him no at the altar. Like, nobody cares about that you told me no. Like, it's been our actual wedding is 2.5 years ago. You know, the show aired It's a year
Like
this
a
month,
year.
actually.
Oh yeah.
Our season sucks. Nobody even watched it like anymore. Like, I let it go. You don't see me talking about, stuff over when, like, get over it. So when that came out,
Interesting.
I was just like, I did not understand. And
Yeah.
then it took me a while to process. I was like, I know exactly what she's doing. And
I want to ask sort of an off-topic question,
Yeah.
but just like kind of trying to figure out maybe why she did it. Did after the show, and they kind of said this on the podcast, but that like your reputation sort of accelerated after the show and hers like declined. Like you were sort of like a good guy and she was a bad guy after the show. I mean, because of maybe how she left you at the altar or whatever. Do you think she had any sort of motive to like, because we say clout, but do you think she was trying to maybe ramp up her career
there's one thing
by doing this? Because I don't follow her like that, so I don't
Mhm.
know if she like
Yeah.
is making a lot of money, if she's becoming an influencer, or maybe she was
She's
like
trying
getting
very
desperate,
hard.
or maybe I'm just reaching. I don't know.
In my opinion, I don't pay attention to her stuff. I think she tries a little too hard. She's trying to do like the fashion thing and all that, which good for her, but I don't really think that is going anywhere. But there's one thing that I did notice. Our night after our wedding, it was literally our wedding day, and I'm going in with the mentality, she's like, I can't tell you no right now, but I still want to be with you. So I'm like, okay. I'm thinking we're together, like she's still full on in. And that night we go and we party. We're finally like, wow, we get to breathe from the show. And that night, like, I'm still devastated because I was very much in love with this girl. I was like a yes all the way. It was very real for me. In the end of the night, her biggest worry, she starts like having a full blown panic attack of like, wow, I'm about to look like on the show. And she lost her shit. She's like, I'm about to look like the biggest. And
Like if she says no at the altar.
just how she was the entire show.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
yeah,
like the money thing and all that. Okay.
Pretty much how she treated me, and that's how it was. Like, that's really how it was. And in my head, I'm like, that's all you're worried about. Like, you just told me no at the altar. You have no care in the world about me,
Yeah.
and I'm still here with you, like trying, and all you care about at this moment is how you're gonna look on the show. Like, I was looking past the show. I didn't give a shit about the show. I wanted to really get married on the show.
You were like, I'll buy plates.
Yeah, like, I'll do whatever. I would literally do everything that this girl would ask me to, everything. And if time allowed me to, because
Yeah.
I would go to work once we get back, I would leave at like 7 a.m. I'd come at 5. We have to film from 5 to midnight or 1 in the morning. I'm exhausted. I got to wake up and do it all over again and deal with her personality. So, like, she would have a ton of meltdowns just because of like, when you do TV, at least with Love is Blind, because we can get into Perfect Match, that's a little bit different, but Love is Blind is a very real show. It's supposed to
Okay.
be organic. They let you go for it. It's like, it's y'all's relationship. They'll be like, this is something you need to talk about, which was important. That's what I appreciate about the show. You face real life like hardships on what you would in a relationship, in a marriage. So conversations are uncomfortable and tough. But for some people, they think it as, oh, they're manipulating me to be a certain way. And that was her excuse the entire time. It was just her image. It was never trying to like make it work for us. So you can see in the episodes, I'm like constantly catering to her. I'll do this, I'll do that. I would do it, I would reassure her. But it was like me just trying to keep her calm because she's so worried about how she's going to look on the show. So I'm like, what's your intent here? Are you here to just worry about how you're going to look on the show, or like stay focused with me and make this relationship work, So I guess back to my point, I think that what I've noticed, because we were very close as Love is Blind aired, she cared very much about what people thought about her. She would block anybody who talked bad or anybody who trolled her, and she would delete all the comments. She always felt like she had to justify. And I was in a relationship with. I still had pictures of us on my profile, and it's like 2 years, a year later, and because obviously I'm tagged in hers, or vice versa, I'm seeing her still responding, justifying herself to trolls,
Oh.
Yeah. So I feel like she has a huge issue that no one can talk bad about her.
Yeah.
So I feel like she tried to use this scenario, one, for clout, and two, to try to clear her name, to say, like, see, I'm not this bad person. He
That
left a
makes
bumble
sense.
up and he cheated on me. Like,
Yeah.
and we can get into that.
Almost to kind of like deflect. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're always anxious about what people think about you, then if you see an opportunity to like improve people's opinion of you in your mind, you're gonna take it. So let's skip to, you talked about like you realized you had a drinking problem, and like multiple instances of being way too drunk and stuff like that. So you're now how many days sober?
I'm 12 days sober today.
Okay,
Yeah.
congrats.
Thanks. It feels like 3
What-
months, but because every day
Yeah.
it feels like forever. But yeah, I actually feel pretty good. Like, first 5 days were extremely rough, I will say. But mentally, like, I feel a lot more, I don't know, just like alive and vibrant and positive. I don't have that like anxiety or depression like after a day that's hungover. I'm reflecting a lot back now on things that I can remember, because it's sad to admit, I feel like my last 2.5 years of life have been literally foggy. Like, I can't
Wow.
remember much
So
because
this has been going on for a while.
yeah. I would say probably 2019 when my first engagement ended. That's when I think for that first time I went, I want to say like 4 months straight without being sober a day.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was like a functioning alcoholic. I would go to work out, and then just go to the same dive bar, drink about like 10 glasses of whiskey till I couldn't keep my eyes open
Wow.
anymore, and I'd just wake up and do it again.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you decide to now cold turkey go sober?
I mean, lots of things, I mean, I think it takes a point for someone you really hit rock bottom. And for me, this was rock bottom in my life. I lost and hurt,
Yeah.
the best thing that ever happened to me. I would see my mom, desperately trying to get me to stop going out, stop drinking. Like, my mom would see it, and my mom is my best friend's the love of my life, I'm hurting my mom.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm spending way too much money on alcohol, like,
Yeah.
and I think it just finally caught up to me, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just tired. Like, my body's so tired, and I realized I just don't want to feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
I want a better life.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
my viewers know I'm like super passionate about health and wellness. So I love to like shine a light on that. I have a old friend and also who is an ex-boyfriend, my high school sweetheart that passed away this year due to substance abuse. So it's really like, it gives a lot of hope to see people like, at a young age turn their life around instead of, pass away at a young age, because it's a very, when it's a full-blown, addiction, it really wreaks havoc on that person and everyone around them. And it's sad when you see young people just, living miserably or, ultimately losing their lives. So kudos to you.
Yeah, thanks.
It's very noble.
Yeah, thanks.
Have you had any sort of like thoughts or feelings that have come up? I mean, you have to be feeling like super clear-minded, which might be like a double-edged sword, because you probably feel great, but maybe a little bit of like anxiety or like, I don't know. I can't imagine. It's like you like put glasses on for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I've kind of been doing my research. So I do AA. I go to AA meetings now. I have a sponsor now. And just like being in the community, you don't realize how many people struggle with alcohol issues. And like I finally came out about it, and it's like, it's amazing to see how much support you get. And I think that's one thing that's helped me. Like, I'm in a room full of strangers that understand me, and I feel like I love them, although I don't know who the hell they are, but we all, we can relate in that scenario. And yeah, so like just thinking about it now, I mean, when it first started out, I cut everything cold turkey. I'm going sober, personal therapy, just attacking all, obviously like having conversations with and which she's actually present and supportive, at the moment with my path to sobriety. So,
Okay.
I'm very thankful for that. But it's honestly one of the hardest things, but the best things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
The anxiety's through the roof. I can't sleep. You're very irritated easily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a lot to attack at once. But for those watching, um, if you have an issue or if you relapse or anything, like don't be hard on yourself. Reset.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be alone. Cry like a baby. I've cried so many times from it, just like because you get
Yeah.
so many emotions.
Yeah.
I like just let it all out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really hard to just you have to submit and trust the process. I know when I walked into the AA meeting for the very first time, I was like, this, I don't need to be here. I don't belong here.
Mm.
I'm not an alcoholic,
Oh, wow.
because like there are people in there
But
that
that's step one.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's step one. And then I remember I was damn almost in tears when it was my first meeting and they're like, you're it's your first AA meeting, like you're the only like newcomer here. Would you like to say anything? And I spoke up. I was like, I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. I don't know any of y'all. I feel like I don't belong here, but I've heard everybody's stories who's inspired me, who spoke before me, and y'all felt the same way. So I'm submitting myself to it, and I'm trusting the process, and that's all I've done, this whole time. And now, it's great because there's like the 12
Yeah.
steps, and I'm still working through just like step one, which is just, submitting yourself and admitting that you have, an issue. And so
Yeah.
it's hard, but
Yeah.
I'm trying. I ain't giving up. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have issues. That just is an issue that
Yeah.
people see.
Mm-hmm.
People have issues that are hidden behind closed doors, and then there's the ones that are, outside those doors. So
Yeah.
it doesn't make you less than anybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And it can happen to anybody, really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I commend you.
Thank you.
I have been to an AA meeting once, actually. It was an assignment, which was super weird in college because I studied psychology, and they like made us go. They said just to be anonymous, to experience like what the program is like.
Yeah.
So it is awesome. I can
Yeah.
attest to that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like relapsing is a part of a lot of people's recovery, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So like getting back up if you get knocked down is super important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you just get back up.
Yeah. Okay. So you slid in there that you and talking. So what's the status with y'all now? Where do you guys stand?
We're cordial. So, I mean, everyone waited, is expecting, like, you haven't told her anything. Why aren't you taking accountability? Like, it's my private life. I'm not going to go out there and advertise it. I mean, clearly now I am. But that was just something, like, I don't want to handle it how she handled it, Like, I don't need to make it public. I don't need to make any posts or post anything or justify myself. It was, I talked to her, we sat, we dished it all out. She went through every message, every accusation, and I sat there and owned up to whatever was true and cleared up whatever wasn't. And we're cordial right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's there. She checks in on me often. She's supportive of me becoming sober, and I mean, we're as good as we can be at this point.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not something you want to like force or rush
Absolutely.
or anything, because you both probably just need time to like heal at least.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally, yeah.
Yeah. So, which is nice. We're both kind of focusing on ourselves, and we have each other's backs. So.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on it, but how did you fit into all of this? So like, she was your ex-fiance from Love is Blind.
Mm-hmm.
You and go through this breakup and whole situation, and then we see them together on a podcast, and I think a lot of people were just like, what's happening?
Yeah. I'm still asking myself that question right now. I don't know where she fits in with this. She doesn't. She came out of left field. For what reason? I don't know. I think it's clout and trying to clear her name for something that happened so long ago. Nobody even cares.
I think people who were in support of them would say she was there to like support
No.
type of thing. I mean, that's the way it came off at least. So if I'm playing devil's advocate, it was kind of like maybe to give like the courage to go on the podcast or like back up what she was saying, something along those lines.
She went into a moment where she was very vulnerable, clearly, which I understand. It was hurting. It's all red. She just wouldn't stop. And it was one of the reasons I can tell she was just influencing. Like, she's the one who brought up the broadcast. I was like, I got someone I can bring you to and we can do this, you know? Like, I'm finding out everything now. And
so she did pursue the podcast. She did.
yeah, like, because I know she wouldn't have done, like, I know and I get, like, the first post, but I know she wouldn't have done it as much as she kept just, like, slamming me if it wasn't for
Okay.
Yeah. So, she came out of nowhere making this. I mean, I haven't seen it from what I've heard on snippets saying that. I guess from my perspective, looking at it is oh, you got cheated on. Izzy cheated on me too. So let's gang up on him. And this gives me a chance to clear my name and say this is why I didn't marry him. You know.
What do you mean when you say clear her name?
Because after the show,
she was kind of disliked.
Yeah, like she was disliked by the majority of the people. I mean, but the proof's in the pudding. It's all on camera. It's not fake. Like you saw it.
Right.
I've made TikToks and everything that I've like quoted on there are things that she's told me.
Oh, that TikTok you posted.
Yeah, the TikTok I posted. Like every single thing is things she's told me. Like you can see it on TV. She's told me in person, not on camera. So it's like, how are you gonna come and accuse me of cheating? This is how I see it. If you found out 2 days before our wedding, especially seeing how you are now, that you want to clear your name and you were like that the whole time filming, why not call me out at the altar, right? Then we have a whole year and a half before the show even airs. We're cool at this point, whatever. The only thing she ever told me was like, yeah, my friends would hear like, you hooked up with this girl, you hooked up with that girl after we broke up.
Yeah, when did y'all break up? Did you stay together for a while?
So we had the wedding. So this is what happened. We had the wedding.
So weird when you say wedding.
I know. Trust me. It gives in Spanish we call it asco. It makes me it makes me gag. Like asco, like it makes me nauseous. So the wedding happens, right? And when the wedding comes, they take our phones away when we get there. So we called each other right before, and you know, like we're gonna get through this. She told me 2 days before, and she was gonna tell me no. She said her excuse was, you know, the credit thing, you told me too late. I don't feel like I can trust you. I want to be with you. I want to be engaged to you. I can't say yes to somebody in a month. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is what you signed up for. But then the other half of me is thinking like, all right, like it's realistic. I get it. So I was like torn. But me, my mindset, I'm like submitted to the experiment. So I'm thinking like, no, we're going to figure this out. Let's try to do this and get married. So anyway, so she's like, I still want to be with you after this, all this stuff. And so after the wedding, we hang out and we're good. We stay the night together. She's like, I still want to be with you, all this stuff. We're all lovey-dovey after the wedding. In my head, I'm thinking like, all right, we're cool. Like we're going to stay together and all this. So then that next day we had to do like our final filmed interviews on like the wedding and stuff like that. And we do those separately. It's like when we sit in that chair on the show. I don't know if you see it, but anyway, so we had to go at separate times, and we came to an agreement. It's like, all right, we're mentally just drained for the last 2 months. Let's take a couple days away, kind of regroup. I personally didn't want to, because like if you're going through a hard time with someone, like I'd rather stick it through with you. I don't feel like obviously
you didn't want to break up. Is that what you're saying?
No, like take a couple days apart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she wants to take a couple days apart for like our mental health, let it breathe, rest. I'm like, okay, I get it, but like a day or two at most, cool. Like,
yeah,
but like I'm gonna want to see you. You would think like you would want to see your partner, you want to be with them, although it's a hard time.
Too much space is not good. Yeah.
So a whole week goes by, and through that week we only swap like a text or two through the day, like a mental health check-in. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I'm just like, I'm going crazy. I'm like in love with this girl. I don't hear from you. I want to be with you, but like I don't want to like suffocate you. I don't know, like, you know. And so we finally meet on this Friday, and it's so crazy because like I to think back at it now, it's like disgusting in my opinion, like to see her true character. We meet on a Friday and we have like a conversation at her place, and I'm like, see, like I told you, everything would be like a lot easier once the cameras are done. You know, like let's go have fun, like be ourselves. Because off camera, like we'd have a blast. You know, at least in my opinion, I did. And so then we go out on this date and we have fun. I remember we get to the date, and this is where I kind of saw like how she was. We get to Flight Club, and there was no little bay open for us to play darts. And she like demand like a manager. She told someone like, no, you can get us a bay now. Like she was like demanding it to the person in a very mean way. And then like when they walked away, she's like, us Snyders never hear the word no. We can pay anybody or do anything. And I was like, and then even then I just like let it go. I was like, whatever, like as long as she's happy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so anyways, that night, but that was the first time I saw, I was like, I didn't like that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like that. Like, I'm like, let's sit and wait, have some appetizers, have a couple of drinks. Like, let's talk. It's been a week since I've seen you. Like, I just want to be around you.
So they were just basically saying you have to wait for a dart board or whatever.
Yeah, and it was going to be like maybe like an hour and a half, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I would be the same way. Like, let's just hang out. I mean, you're on a date, so like there's no rush.
Exactly.
Like, just hang out until you can get a board.
So then we go on this date, we hang out, and then at the end of the night, we get to her place, and something felt off. Like, I just felt something in my gut, and we're, like, making her bed, getting ready for bed, and I was like, well, can I ask you something? I was like, are you even in love with me? I was like, something just doesn't feel right. She was like, no, I'm not feeling it. So all I said to her was like, what the why did you keep me around for this then? And I just put on my shoes and I walked out the door and I never talked to her again.
Wait, that's so weird.
Mm-hmm. That's how it ended. And then
you said, are you still in love with me? And she just said no.
Yeah, I was like, are you even in love with me? Like, I think if anybody, when you're in that deep, like to go a full week with barely contact, you know, like you could kind of tell, you can feel it. And I felt it like at the end of the night. And I asked her, and she's like, no, like, I'm not into it. And I was just like, what the f***? You told me you wanted to be with me. You told me all these things on camera. Now it's done, you know.
It feels like a little bit, and obviously I don't know, it wasn't there, but like, it feels a little bit like a dangled carrot. Like she was dangling a carrot to you, almost kind of like making you chase that carrot in a sense.
Because she knew I would do literally anything.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you keep saying that, so.
Like, I tried, and like, it sucks so bad because I tried so hard for that girl. And like, I always fell short. Like, I would buy her flowers every Monday. I would make it a thing. I would buy her flowers, but she would be like, well, you still haven't cooked for me. Like, you know, like something like that. I remember one time, you know, I didn't think of it because the way I do my laundry, I just do my laundry, throw it in the wash, throw it in the dry, and I'm done. And, you know, she was gone. I remember I cleaned the place. I don't know where she was. And so I, you know, took the initiative. I started cleaning the apartment we were living in at the time, and I did her laundry. And when she got home, she tore me a new one because of, like, things I didn't know weren't supposed to go in the dryer, you know, like, and I was just trying to like do her laundry and help her out, you know what I mean? And like, I felt like after that, I mean, there's so many things that she would like slam me on. I had just got my passport, and like, she made it seem like that was such a bad thing, but I came from nothing with my family. I would travel in the States because I played baseball, but like, we didn't have enough money to go take like big fancy trips or anything like that, you know? So it sucks. So it's like, and what sucked the most is when we had this finance conversation, she like, this was off camera. This is what she wanted to have. So I'm like, all right, let's dish it out. Like, through our entire time of filming, it was always about financial status, your finances. And like, there's one scene that they don't even show, but I meet one of her best friends. Like, just all she cared about was money. Instead of getting to know, have y'all talked about finances? What about money? Are y'all getting a prenup? Like, and in my head, I'm just like, I don't want your money. I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, I'm thinking of like love here. I'm not, like clearly our minds are in different places.
Right.
So when we have this finance conversation, I'm like, all right, like, we're talking 401k, we're talking savings, this and that, like, and I was like, I'm on a 1099. I worked for a big corporate company doing telecom sales for business for them, business sales. And so I left it to do Love is Blind. And I knew I could go back because I left on good terms. So I did insurance for that time. So when you do insurance, you're on a 1099.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm on a 1099. And she's like, oh no, like that's not enough security for me that you're on a 1099 and not a W-2. And I'm like,
actually, that's a super smart thing to do. I'm 1099. I'm the vice president of our family business. So I'm a contractor as far as like how I get paid.
Yeah.
But actually, financially speaking, it's way smarter to do 1099 because you can write things off. You don't get taxes pulled out of your paycheck and you're not a slave to whoever your employer is.
Exactly.
So,
which is what I loved.
I mean, I don't come from money either. My parents are both very hard workers. So I would imagine that if you come from that kind of money, like, I feel like you're just on like different wavelengths of life. Like, to see it as something as so important because that's probably like the way she was raised. But at the same time, like, I feel like you need to kind of do some soul searching to realize that that's not what's important in life.
Yeah.
Because, and like the W-2 comment kind of shows that. It's just almost like a brainwashing, or like that's just the way you were programmed by your parents, by your family, because logistically speaking, it's actually a lot financially smarter to have a 1099 or like something of the sort.
Yeah. I think she just felt it as insecure as it wasn't like steady income, more like straight commission.
Yeah.
I
will
doing
say,
really well
I
at
feel
it.
like from an outsider point of view, I feel like for some reason she was just holding back for a long time, that she wasn't in love with you, or like just wasn't that into the relationship, which like at any point would be heartbreaking to hear. But it's like,
don't string me
why
along.
did you, why did she string you along? Because I feel like I had a relationship once where I started to lose feelings for the guy for a number of different reasons. Like he just wasn't it. But then I started to criticize him all the time. So like what she was doing to you, like for me it was very subconscious, but like criticizing little things like you don't iron your shirt the right way, just like stupid. I mean, the laundry thing is understandable, but you definitely don't blow up on someone. It's just like, hey, please don't do my laundry like that again, or like do it this way. But thank you so much for doing laundry, especially as a man. Like, guys, from what I've been told from guys, y'all need to feel appreciated. Like, you need to feel appreciated and respected. Like, that's so important for your emotional well-being. So to tear someone down,
we don't need gifts or anything. Just like a little acknowledgement goes a long way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't fish for compliments or comments or anything, but just like, hey, I saw you did this. Like, thank you. And
but to do the flowers and to do the laundry and clean but you're not cooking, but you did it wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's
what production always say. Like, our producers, it's like, we don't understand. You're literally, everything she's asked, you fixed. Like, that was another thing. Our dogs, so I have 2 huskies. She had a doodle. And apparently every single time I was gone, they would like attack they would get into like a little scuffle, one of my dogs, like my girl dog and him. And she would call me being like, you need to come get your dog. She wanted me to get a trainer in between work and filming and get a trainer and train the dog. She's like, we're not going to do this if our dogs don't get along. And
some of the things that she mentioned on the podcast were like gaslighting, the financial issues, obviously, lack of trust, lying in the pods on Love is Blind.
But like, lying about what is what I don't get.
I don't know.
I literally, the only thing she said in the pods is that I would cook for her, and I hadn't cooked for her.
Oh, okay.
Like, that was it. I don't know if that's.
Do you cook?
Yeah, I cook all the time. Like, Ashley I'm actually a really
Aren't you
good cook.
Mexican?
Yeah.
Yeah, so surely
Oh
you
yeah, I
can
get
at
my mom's
least heat up
recipes
some
all the time.
tortillas or something.
Oh, I cook like man, I've cooked a lot of things. I could cook like fideo. I made lasagna one time. Like I've been good.
Oh,
I cook a
nice.
lot. Yeah,
Okay.
I love to cook. It's the dishes I hate to do, which is why I use the plastic. You know, but yeah, we had the finance conversation, and it's like she expected so much of me. But it was crazy because in filming, as soon as we got back, I had to go to work. I had just started this job. I was doing really well. I was like probably 3 or 4 months in. And at that time, I know she's unemployed now, but at that time, she was working for her dad and she had a laptop. I don't know what she did for her dad, but her laptop wasn't working that, like the very first day. She's like, oh, my laptop's not working. I got to call my tech guy. Whatever. I never saw that girl work one day that we filmed that entire time. She would go and the laptop wasn't working. Like, okay, I'm not going to go, do this. She would just go off and, I don't know, run errands, whatever. And so I'm at work, doing all this stuff. And then the times that she would go into the office, she would literally just go into her dad's, to the back and lay on the couch. Or she would tell me, it's like, I just laid on the couch the whole time, like, because of all the anxiety from the show and everything. And like, I'm over here busting my ass at work. So it's like, we're having the conversation and I'm like, she's telling me, well, you just got your passport. And I think you're right in the sense of like, because it's crazy when I haven't really talked about it to anybody. But you mentioned like she's always trying to find something wrong. And she was like, my passport, she even tried to tell me, she's like, I don't know. We have different hobbies. I like to go to Steak 48 and fine dine and take trips and do all this stuff. And, she's like, a lot of these trips, like I don't pay for, but are you going to be able to afford to travel and pick up and go to Greece when I want to go or, something like that? And I'm like, well, I have a real job. I can't just like, yes, I can, if I have enough time, I can save and like go on vacation. But like you, I haven't seen you work a day. And even afterwards, like, seeing her on Instagram, like she be traveling all the time. I'm like, do you not work? You know what I mean? But you have this big expectation out of me.
Interesting.
So I'm like, I asked her, I was like, so just out of curiosity and like, don't take offense. I was like, but you do all these things, all this is paid for. I'm like, I don't think your girlfriends are like, hey, here's a private jet. Here's like a free trip. I was like, are you sugar baby? And she flipped on me. And I was like, I think I just hit a nerve. Like it makes sense. And I'm no judge on that. That's not my point.
No, it's just like the way you ask the question is
of
hilarious.
course. I mean, like, what am I? I don't know. I keep it black and white, and no judgment to anybody who does that. Like, get your bag, do your thing.
Yeah.
What bothered me is like, don't sit here and have this high expectation of me to make this amount of money and do this and that when you don't even do it yourself. You know what I mean? Like, or if that's what you want, like clear that, but don't go dragging my name through the mud and then now coming out and accusing me of cheating. So again, we get home and that's one thing I wanted to address. She says I cheated on her. She could have brought it up, at the altar, at reunion, why 2.5 years later? And when you get home, like I took off thinking like, this ain't gonna work. I'm not gonna get married, like I was on Bumble. I was probably on every app, Bumble, Hinge. Yeah, I was on Bumble and Hinge. And so I get home. We don't have our phone for 3 weeks. And we get home and it's like immediately into filming. They throw us in a hotel. Obviously, like I haven't had my phone for 3 weeks, so I'm catching up on everything.
This is like the post-show filming, right?
No, this is like filming of show. Because she says that she saw the profile 2 days before the wedding.
Well, I guess outside the pods is what I mean.
Oh, yeah, outside the
pods,
Like
when they film you, they give you like an apartment, right? And they film you there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at that time, we have our phones.
So are they filming you every day?
Yeah, we would have like 2 days off.
Okay, and that's so funny because like you only see such a small amount. It's like you keep saying y'all were filming for so long. I'm like, wait, when? Like, where was that? But they only show a little small amount.
I think it was Sunday and Monday, Sunday and Mondays we had off because the filming crew, they're on what is it called? They're on union. They're union.
Oh, I can only do so many hours. Yeah, okay.
So we had 2 days off. So like in those days off. Monday was I was at work. Like you don't have time and you're just mentally trying to like rest. It's an exhausting process.
Yeah.
And so like the last thing on my mind, like I'm not active on these apps. I was barely even on my Instagram or anything like that at that time, and it just completely slipped my mind to delete my Bumble. Like the app wasn't on my main screen. I wasn't checking it or whatever. So my profile was up there, and she talked to me about it too. This is what I don't understand. I was like, oh, like my bad. I forgot to delete it. And so her friend apparently snapshotted my profile, and told her, and she told me, and this was 2 days, this is the day of our bachelor and bachelorette party, which they didn't air. And so that was it. She just saw that. So now she's saying I cheated because of that. And I mean, it's happened to a lot of people in different seasons. Like you're so busy, and then like for me, I'm working and I'm filming. I don't get done filming till like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And so it's just like my mind's not even there. Like I'm too busy focusing on
probably
you.
too because y'all didn't have your phones in the pods, did you?
Mm-mm.
Or like
We didn't have our phone
filming?
for the first 3 weeks. So
Okay.
pods in Mexico.
I would imagine, in your defense, you probably kind of got used to not really messing with your phone, not having it for 3 weeks, and then you jump into filming, and you're like, you have this new. There's just a lot going on.
There's
so
a lot.
I could see how it could slip your mind. I could also see how a girl seeing their boyfriend on a Bumble app would like freak you out.
Yeah.
And you would of course assume the worst.
Yeah, but it was there. Like I would understand if there's like screenshots of me, and at this point, because everyone comes out of the woodworks with stuff now that like I'm out there would have been somebody who would have been like, hey, I was chatting with him at this time. Like there would have been screenshots, something.
Yeah.
And there wasn't. It was just my profile. So
especially because Houston is a big small town.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody, you know, a lot of people. I'm sure she knows a lot of people. Like, I would think if you were just on a dating show, like all your friends know, probably you just got off a dating show, and then somebody catches you chatting on apps. Yeah. Somebody's gonna spill the tea, I would think.
So her excuse is why she came out this song as like NDAs. Like, come on, Netflix would love to see that drama. Like, you're gonna sit here and tell us that they're gonna tell you don't bring it out, don't call someone out. Like, they're gonna do it. Look what they did, you know, to Trevor last season. We haven't seen it, but yeah. So it's just like they're gonna
the Perfect Match or Love Is Blind.
Love Is Blind.
No, I saw the reunion.
Oh, you saw that? Okay.
Yeah, I watched all of that. The Perfect Match. I only watched the first 2 episodes because you went home, right?
Yeah, I come back later.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
okay. So I was watching it the other day because I was like, let me just do a little homework, like see what happened. But I didn't enjoy it as much as Love Is Blind. Yeah. And then when you left, I was trying to like look through like the episode previews to figure out like how does this show work? Do you come back? Yeah. And then I was like, just forget it. Never mind. Yeah. It's not important.
No, yeah. I ended up coming back later on and stuff. But yeah, so I mean, like, I guess back to my point. You could have like, you know, done that. So you just go on a podcast and just say that about me, you know? So I'm like, all right, well, you know, I've taken a lot from you. I've sat in a corner. You drug my name through the mud. You're completely irrelevant to the situation. If anything, you just made yourself look stupid by doing this. And then come to find out she's on Seeking Arrangements. You know what I mean? So it's like you're accusing me, and I had multiple
What is that?
Seeking Arrangements is basically a website for sugar babies. So girls will get on it. They meet men. The men choose them, and you basically you're like their escort or it's for sex, or
whatever. I guess the arrangement.
Whatever the arrangement is, but it's usually along those lines. And as all this happened, she kind of shot herself in the foot by getting involved. Like, you know, and a lot of people. It's crazy. I had a lot of support, and people DM me, people that knew these men. And
oh, really? I was gonna say, how did you even find that out?
I was getting random DMs, and it's like I had 3 people reach out, and it's like, it's crazy that she's sitting here and bashing you that you're broke and this or that. I was like, we used to laugh at it when we would watch y'all on Love Is Blind because we knew some of the people she was hooking up with for money. Oh,
really?
Yeah. So I'm like, how are you gonna call me out and do this? Like, speaking of cheating, well, no, that's a whole nother thing. But no,
we'll
like
just say it's what do they say? The pot calling the kettle black.
I heard that
one. You haven't heard that? That was my face the first time I heard that. But it's basically like, I'm accusing you of doing something that I've done.
No, well, she didn't do that to me. But apparently, word on the street, it's not my story to tell. But she actually just came out, and that's how she found her new girlfriend. She had a boyfriend before, and he caught them. So
Caught them together.
hmm
How did you find that out?
not my story to tell, but let's just say me and him were cool.
Okay, you
Yeah.
know the guy.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And I'll leave it at
Interesting.
that. It's not.
Okay.
It's not my business. I'm not gonna be like them and get myself involved in a scenario. But
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
come accusing me of something. You know, like you should probably take a step back and look at yourself.
Right, yeah. That's what the saying is, the pot calling the kettle black. Because the pot is also black.
I gotcha. Okay.
So you're like, he's a cheater, blah, 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 but secretly you are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's another story for somebody else to tell. It ain't mine. I honestly just want, like, I was done with her. I want her, like, out of my life. I want nothing to do with that. I'm, like, honestly disappointed that I'm even taking the time to have to address, you know, and go out of my way to, like, talk about her, because she's completely irrelevant to me. But yeah, that was that. But I mean, yeah, she was not the best person to me, but it is what it is. You live and you learn, and love was truly blind for me.
Yeah. Wow. So speaking of Love is Blind, I mean, you kind of touch on like how the show works, but I feel like with reality TV, my questions, I don't know if anybody else cares, but like, is it real? Like, what's real? I always think of, I feel like Laguna Beach. Did you ever watch Laguna Beach?
I didn't.
Really?
I never even started watching reality TV until I went and filmed Love is Blind.
Really?
I'm not a big TV
Okay,
guy,
well, I'm a
yeah.
fiend of
Yeah.
reality TV. That's probably
Well, I
my
am
like
now. I love it.
my dirty secret, or like, what do they say?
guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. Yeah. Big Bachelor, like OG fan, and
How did you
then
feel about
Laguna
this one?
Beach. I've definitely seen every episode, but back then, a while after the show, and like now, you know, it's been years, they always say that their show was super scripted and fake, like to the point that they would like make fake phone calls. And
Oh wow.
and I have a friend, Ben Riney, who was on some MTV reality show. I don't remember what it was called, but he said the same thing, that it was like very, like they called him because they wanted to like plant an ex-boyfriend on their show. And so,
Oh god.
yeah, so I'm just curious what's real and what's not.
From my experience, and that's what I've appreciated with Love is Blind, for me, it was very organic. Now, do they put you in real life situations? Yes. Tough situations? Yes. But no one's here forcing us to drink. No one's starving us. At the time when we film in the pods, when we get into nighttime dating, they give you the option. It's like, hey, if you're tired, because we'd film from like 8 in the morning. We'd take a lunch around midday, I want to say like 2 or 3, and we'd have dinner at 7 or 8, and then you start nighttime dating at like 10, from like 10 to 2 and 2 or 3 in the morning,
Oh,
depending on how
wow.
many dates you had.
That's intense.
Yeah, it's a long day. But at night, they give you the option. They're like, you don't have to stay. You can go back and sleep. If you need a night's rest, like, you know, it's totally fine. So it's never forced. It's very real. When we got back home to, like, real life and filming, I mean, the only thing that they'll and that's what's crazy, because they'll call you out, like, on how you were on camera, things that you've said. And so, like, if you and I were sitting here and, let's say, for instance, we're having this conversation, and you're like, hey, you know, we saw you sitting at the table and you said this drink, you know, tasted like Dr. Pepper. Izzy said, like, he's been drinking that, you know, during his sobriety. Like, let's talk more about it. Why Dr. Pepper?
So they'll be like standing there behind the cameras and say that out
Not
loud.
behind the camera. It's like, it's just camera people, and then, like, the producers or anything are not around. They're watching from afar,
really?
but they're not there. So they let you be yourselves.
So
Yeah.
who prompts you to like, hey, talk about this?
Eventually a producer will come out and be
Oh,
like,
okay.
you know, let's touch on this topic. It's something I feel we need to talk
Gotcha.
about. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But they're going to be like, Izzy, you need to say this, and you need to act like this, or do that, or, you know, anything like that. Or drink more, or stop drinking, or, you know, anything
Okay.
like that. Like, so that's how it is. So, like, I will say the only thing that maybe is, like, maybe they'll edit something, like cut the conversation short, you know.
Yeah,
something
the
like that.
editing.
Yeah, it's the edit. But even then, like, I mean, for me, in my experience, what really happened, you know. So, although it was
What we saw happened was pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
From your point of view.
yeah, good and bad. Like, my good
Okay.
moments, my best moments, I mean, like my bad moments, I definitely had a bad moment on there. And even my best moments, I mean, it was my true self. If I f***ed up, I f***ed up, but if I was good, I was good.
Yeah. And I'll say you have friends who have vouched for you, because like when we were all watching the show when it aired, one of your close friends said like, no, he's being exactly himself. Like this is how he is in real life. So I can attest to what you're saying.
Thank you, yeah.
What's with the gold cups?
I think so. We just can't like obviously advertise the brands of whatever we're drinking because like it's not always alcohol. Like we had water in there, you know what I mean, and stuff. So I think it's just for the brands. And I think when the show first started, they were using those, and I think it's become its trademark. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I couldn't figure it out. I was like, do they want us to think they're not drinking? Because some of them are slurring and their eyes are red, so we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could, it's just like you can't have the water bottle in the scene. You can't have like the Coke or the the wine or the liquor or whatever's
so you
in
can
there.
See what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It's just for like the branding, not so much trying to hide what's in the cup.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then when you did Perfect Match, how did that? So, timeline wise, was Perfect Match after you and broke up when you filmed that?
I filmed Perfect Match last August. Me and broke up in 2022.
Wow, it's been so long.
Our wedding day was on Memorial Day of 2022, and then that Friday after is when we broke up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's been almost like 2 years, or it has been 2 years, like 2.5 years.
Okay.
Since they act like physically in person break up. Yeah.
Okay. So then how was that show? Was it different than Love is Blind?
Yeah, it was very different.
Did you actually like the girls that you were talking to?
Yeah, I mean, this is so embarrassing.
I mean, not like, I mean, I don't mean did you like them or hate them? Like, were you actually trying to pursue them, or was it more just kind of like fun and games?
So like, I learned very quickly. I went in like with my heart, like Love is Blind, and I was genuinely like trying to see if I had a connection with anybody, and I had filmed this before Love is Blind even aired, so nobody knew who I was. And for me, I knew who a lot of these people were, so I was like starstruck. Like clearly why I'm so nervous around like Micah but Jess was on the same boat as me. Like her season hadn't came out of Love is Blind. I don't know if you made it far enough to see her come in or not. She was with Harry. There was a whole drama with her and Harry Jowsey. Harry f***ed her over, basically.
Was that a different season?
No, it's just my season.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just remember.
They were later on in the show, though.
Okay.
So you might, I know you stopped watching it, so you probably didn't see it.
I did. I watched all of Love is Blind. I did.
I'm talking about
Perfect Match.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that part.
Okay. So, but no, it was definitely different. If there was anything I would have done differently, I would have went in a little bit more lighthearted. It's just because, like, I don't know how to be, like, what's up, baby, trying to spit game. Like, I'm, like, a deep conversation guy. Like, how are you? What's up? All right. So, like, what are you looking for? Like, I want to know your relationship history, your traumas. Like, I want to know how you, like, function. I want to dive into you. I'm not going to sit here and try to, like, spit some game at you. You know what I mean? And, and tell you you're hot and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, which, like, and that's the cool thing about the show is, like, you'll notice everyone from Love is Blind goes in with their hearts, like, big time. And we go in strong and, like, we get very emotionally involved. Then you have like a whole bunch of too hot to handle people who are like
that makes sense.
Strategic and like real flirty and witty and
charismatic. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So it's like mashing all those things up. It was like hard, and I definitely I would go in strong with every girl. You know what I mean? Like conversations were deep. I wasn't like surface level flirting around kind of thing. So, but I learned that. I left the house, and when I came back, I was like, all right, kind of be a little bit more boy with it, start talking more, don't take it as serious. But I ended up getting, Micah was depressed over, her dude, and then Jess was depressed over Harry. So I kind of just became the protector in that, and I was like, look, I just want to have fun. Don't be weird about it. Like, come back in the house, let's have fun. I'm not, like, we could sleep on separate beds. Like, I don't care, Like, I'm not going to make it weird for you. I'm not going to be trying to sleep with you and stuff like that.
So what's up with that? Like on Perfect Match, they're like, do you want to match tonight? And then you sleep in the same bed?
You sleep in the same room.
Is that why, like, are they hooking up in there? Or is it like you stay up all night and hang out?
No, you sleep. Like, you actually sleep.
Okay.
I mean, you can hook up if you want to. I don't know who did or didn't, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, I know some people hooked up for sure, but yeah, so the whole point is like you match at the end of the night. Yeah, and you stay together, but it's cool because there's the big bed, and then there's kind of like a little sofa or like a side bed. So if anything's like uncomfortable or anything, but yeah, you pretty much match up at the end of the night and you sleep together.
So interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy because you just sleep next to a complete stranger.
Complete stranger.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Huh. So which one did you enjoy more?
That's tough. I think as far as for doing dating shows, definitely Love is Blind. Because
Okay.
I felt like I can be my authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
And it was refreshing and it made me feel more secure in the sense knowing that everybody's end goal was to try to get married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like a relationship when you come. And it felt like real life dating. Like,
Mm-hmm.
are they going to ghost you? Are they going to leave you for somebody else? Like, you know, you're spitting game. Is it going to work out? Is it not? Like,
Yeah.
So it made it a little bit tough. So at that point, you're kind of just like, I don't know, guarded. I was nervous. So nervous.
Oh yeah,
Honestly.
I'm sure.
I'm sure you could see it. I'm
Yeah.
like spilling drinks, getting drunk.
Yeah.
That's why that was another thing. It's like if I get nervous, I would just get plastered. Like that was another thing that caused my like wanted me to go sober. Like I'm watching myself and I'm literally embarrassed of myself. Like just like when
Watching
you watch
it
it, because like when we're out in normal life, like you don't see yourself, right? But like when you see it on TV and the rest of the world sees it, and the rest of the world's like, dude, like you're drunk, like get it together. I'm like, damn, like I really do have a problem. Like it sucks to have to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of the silver lining in all of it is like this whole experience, like you could say from the beginning of Love is Blind to now, is like your sobriety journey, which I know you're just barely starting, is like this problem. You may have never come to this decision had you not gone through all this.
Yeah.
So,
Because one of my worst moments on Love is Blind, like I go off on Johnny, and I'm hammered. You know what I mean? We're complete. In that moment. So it's just like, it's ugly to see. And yeah, it's just like reality TV has opened my eyes a lot about myself. I've seen myself go through pain, which is probably the worst thing I think to see. Because it's one thing to go through a breakup, but it's one thing to see yourself, see the pain in your eyes. It's like, and then obviously the drinking. So I've learned a lot. It's made me a better person. Although it's been very traumatic at times, but I've learned a lot from it. So.
Yeah. Wow. Off the cuff question I just thought of. You don't necessarily have to answer, but I remember at the reunion there was like a lot of heat on the hosts, Nick Cliche and his wife, for like how they handled the whole thing, because they were like going in on certain people on season 6 reunion. They got a lot of heat for how they handled some of the people. Did you like them or?
Yeah, I mean, so it's cool. Like once you become into like the Netflix reality universe, as they call it, we all like kind of become friends, and a lot of people. I would be in touch with people from like previous seasons. They always like give me advice. So like the newcomers that come with the new season, they'll reach out and be like, hey, like, I'm down bad. Like I need, like, what do you recommend? Or even when things are good. So like you end up, becoming friends with these people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I loved everybody. Everyone just kind of sees them how they are on TV, but like we are normal people. They are good people.
Right.
But I know with Trevor, they, made that a statement just because, again, why I love the show. And I love Trevor too. Like, I know that was hard for him, but
You were at that reunion.
I was at that reunion.
That's why I'm getting it mixed up.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, I know you were there. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was very uncomfortable to watch, I will say. But they did that because they wanted to make it a point that's like, you're not coming on this show for clout. Like, if you're going to come, you're going to come for love and like with integrity. And if you slip up, like, we're going to do that. So like, we'll catch you, we'll expose you.
Yeah.
So like, don't do this again. Come on this show for the right reasons.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. I guess they were kind of like making an example of him, but it was a little harsh.
It was harsh.
Say.
I understand that for sure. But
yeah.
But as far as Nick and Vanessa, they're amazing. Like they're honestly amazing. But they have things in their ears the whole time. So it's like, it's not like they're always coming up with these questions on their own.
Okay.
Yeah. So like,
interesting.
People get a lot of heat to them, but I'd have their back. Cause like if you were to meet them, you'd love them. They're so down to earth and genuine. But yeah, it's like sometimes it's just like production team, you know, they want to know certain questions, get it out. It's very different because I didn't watch the Love Is Blind UK season, but I saw the reunion, and it's so like night and day from America to UK. They don't let them get into any drama. Like, it's very proper, but it's also a lot older of a cast. I think like the youngest is like younger 30s, which is pretty nice in my opinion. But like these people are actually there to get married, but like in our season or like our reunions, they could get messy, you know? Like we can go at it, but on theirs, I noticed their hosts, like, they're barely getting into a conversation, barely getting a little rise out of each other, like nothing even crazy, and they'll like cut it, you know what I mean? So, but
yeah, that's very different. But that's very like, that's definitely an American. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Like British people versus us, yeah, we're messy.
Yeah, we're very messy. So.
Okay, so my last question for you is just kind of like, what are your goals moving forward? I mean, you're now this public figure. You know, you're on this whole new journey of sobriety. You're, I guess, technically single or figuring things out. What do you want to do from here?
Honestly, I mean, just kind of get back to my normal self again. I mean, I felt so lost, so lonely, just a mess. I mean, obviously sobriety is my number one goal right now. You know, hopefully all this stuff blows over, and, you know, I was doing really well with, you know, my new job, and I really want to just kind of go with that. And obviously, you know, the other stuff that comes with being the public figure, I think I just want to be more present, in life. That's one thing that I've realized while being sober. It's like you go to appreciate the most minute things in life. Like, I didn't realize how good it felt to just walk to a park, be with people who care about you and remember the moments, you know what I mean? I went bowling last night. I went bowling in forever, like just doing the small things I used to do back then before alcohol and stressing about Instagram and TikTok and who's saying what. Like, I just want to be more present and just like really soak in life and enjoy it, you know? I like with work, like, you know, it's great. I want to obviously excel and do even better than what I'm doing now. But I also don't want to like work to live or live to work. I want to work to live, you know what I mean? So, I'm just kind of like soaking it up. Want to travel more, want to get ripped and just like in the best shape of my life and just enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, alcohol will definitely rob you of all those things. I mean, it'll take your soul, it'll take your relationships, and it ultimately can take your life. So I'm very proud of you. And I can't relate whatsoever, but, you know, I even just in my life used to, your typical weekend binge drinker, you know, 21, 22. I went to college. I started earlier than college. Sorry, Mom. She knows that now. But like high school days, early 20s on Washington, like, you know, I was just like everybody else. And as I've gotten older and just kind of gone on my own healing journey and wanting to elevate my life, you can't heal, you can't elevate, you can't evolve with alcohol holding you back, even if it's just a weekend thing. I mean, and then when you like, I cut way back on alcohol. Now I'm super intentional about it. I did like 90 days sober one time, and it completely changed my perspective on it. And now it's more like, the biggest thing I took away was like, if a waitress came and asked me like, do you want another drink? I would look at my glass, and if it was almost empty, then yes. I didn't actually ask myself, do I want another drink? And so once I figured that out, then most of the time I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I already had one. I feel great. Like, I don't want to be hungover tomorrow. I'm trying to wake up early, go to the gym. So then it was like just an intentional thing. And of course, every now and then you go to Vegas or whatever and have one night. But
it happens.
Anyways, I super support and can relate to what you're saying. You know, waking up and seeing like a sunrise or enjoying nice weather. I mean, there's so much more to life.
It's nice.
Yeah, feeling good, looking good.
That's right. Look good, feel good, baby.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say? Leave people with?
Let me see. I apologize if I haven't talked to you, anybody that I've hurt through this process. I take full accountability for my actions, and I regret everything that I've done. I've learned a lot about myself and from it. And going forward, all I can do is just like better myself, and I'm busting my ass every day to do so. So, yeah, that's about it. Like, thank you for having me. I really feel so much better that I'm actually just able to get this all off my chest. I feel like I can actually sleep now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's been rough. So yeah, and I just want to thank you for having me on here.
You.
It's been a blast.
Yes.
It's been tough, but it's been a blast.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode of That's What He Said. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you're taking away something valuable that will benefit your dating life. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this show a follow, rate, and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like this video, and most importantly, comment below because I want to hear what you said. See you next time.